Hey everybody, Puzzle Max here. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you a piece-by-piece method of solving the 3x3 Rubik's Cube type puzzle. This isn't so much a beginner's method as it is a just really good way of understanding how things move. So I'm going to show you cover some basics here. If this is your first attempt at solving this may be very helpful. But if you're more experienced, this can be a really good way of kind of understanding what some of these moves and algorithms do, how pieces are allowed to move, and these basic ideas can come into play for more complicated puzzles much later on. So just some basic thoughts here first of all. This puzzle is made up of a core, so this piece in the middle, and attached to that core are the 6 centerpieces surrounding it. Those centerpieces, main thing to note is they do not move relative to one another. So even if I move a turn like this, even though it looks like things have changed, in reality, nothing has changed. The pieces are in the same place that they were relative to one another. That's why these centerpieces dictate where the colors go, where the pieces need to go. And that's a key thing. You can't just think of these as colors. You got to remember that they're pieces that you're moving. So attached to that core, there are 12 edge pieces, each with 2 colors. So this piece here is a single edge piece. So this white and red will always be connected. So if you think of just solving the red, you're not doing it right because you have to put the white in the right place as well. There are also 8 corner pieces. These are the ones with 3 colors. And again, these colors need to be in the right place relative to their correct centers. And you have to think of these as pieces. You can't just think of things as colors. That's a big part in solving a lot of basic puzzles and the more complicated ones. A few of the algorithms and things that I'm going to be using here. The first one is an edge piece series, where you can move 3 of these edges and leave every other edge on the puzzle untouched. This series does affect some of the corners, but because we're solving this piece by piece, we're going to be doing all of the edges first and then worrying about the corners at the end. So even if you're messing up some corners while you're doing the edges, those don't matter yet. The basic edge piece series that I'm going to be using is a down, down, up, up, where I'm going to move this down to here, this is going to come up to here, and this one is going to come across to here. And it is, just like you saw, just like I mentioned, a down, down, up, up. So if I move this down, move this back up, and move this back up, you can see that the red and blue edge piece that was here moved down to here. The white and red piece moved up to here, and the blue and white edge piece moved across to here. You can do this from a lot of different angles. It's not always going to be that same basic down, down, up, up. So if you want to move this red and white piece down to here, I'm going to start with that one, because whichever one you start with is going to end up where you put it. So if I start with that white and red piece and move it down here, I'm going to start on this side. Down, down, up, up. You can also do this from other angles in other directions. So say I want to put this white and red piece up to the top. If I start here and move that white and red piece up, replace it with this blue and white piece, and then undo that first move that I did, and undo that move that I did on the top, it's cycled those around in a different way. Most importantly, the red and white edge piece has moved up to the top here. I can undo that in another different fashion. I can start with the blue top face. If I move that over, move this piece up to match up with that blue center, and then undo that top move and undo the move on the red face, it'll put everything back. Most important part of this is that it's only going to touch the 3 edges that you want it to involve. It'll leave all of the other edges unaffected. The other important algorithm that we're going to be using during this is going to be the soon algorithm, or the left-hand soon. The regular soon algorithm is going to move these 3 edge pieces around the center counterclockwise. I'm going to move this red and blue up to here, replacing the blue and yellow. Blue and yellow is going to come here, and the orange and blue is going to come across to here. And again, it's not a difficult thing. You just have to understand what you're doing. So first thing I want to do is move this blue and red out of the way. Move the space that I want to put it to over. Now I can put that blue and red into that space. I'll move a new space over here so that I can put this blue and yellow where I want it to go. Move it up, and then move this entire face back around to where it started, and then undo that right-hand move that I did there. It puts that white and red back where it belongs, and it has cycled these three edges around the puzzle counterclockwise. The left-hand version of that is the exact same thing, just starting on the left, and it'll move these pieces around the puzzle clockwise. So I'm going to move that blue and yellow out of the way, move the spot I want it to go over to the left-hand side, move that blue and yellow up, move that other piece, that third section, back over here, move that red and blue up, and then bring this up face back around and undo that left-hand move. And now everything's back because these pieces cycled clockwise around the top here. It's just a matter of kind of understanding what you're trying to move and where you want it to go. The other one is a corner piece series. Again, this is a right-hand version and a left-hand version. The right-hand version is going to move this piece to here, this corner piece over to here, and this corner piece down to here, counterclockwise, same way. So first you're going to move this corner piece into the new spot. I'm going to move that corner piece that I just fixed. I say fixed because that's where I want it to end up. I'm going to move that over to the left and get it out of the way and replace it with this third corner piece. Now I'm going to move this back over to the right, put this new corner piece back down here, and then move that third corner piece over here, undo that left move, and then undo the top so that everything that I didn't want to change is back where it belongs. And these three corners have cycled around the puzzle counterclockwise. That same move can be done starting on the left, and it'll move these three corners around the puzzle clockwise. So if I just go here, move this corner up to there, bring that top face back around, undo that, bring this back, and undo that. These are easily written and explained that way, but I want this to kind of make sense in understanding where the pieces are going, not so much just learning it as an algorithm. That's pretty much the basics there. There's some other stuff that's going to come into play throughout, but if you understand that edge piece series, moving these pieces and moving these three edges, it affects the corners, but we're not worried about those yet. And that corner piece series that moves those three different corners into three different places. There's the mirrors of everything, starting on the left-hand side. But it really is just the basics of understanding I need to move piece A to piece B to piece C, and piece C is going to come back to piece A. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense getting started here. This is, again, a piece-by-piece method that's hopefully going to help you understand the basics of this puzzle, how things move, how things are allowed to move, and then you'll be able to take those basic ideas and transfer them over to more complicated, more difficult puzzles later on. A scrambled 3x3. Let's get this bad boy solved and hopefully understand everything we're doing along the way. So first goal here is to get all 12 of these edge pieces all around the puzzle in the right place. And we can literally do these one at a time, just as long as you can keep track of what you're trying to accomplish. So first thing I want to do is build a white cross on the bottom. In order to do that, I need to put all 4 of the edges that have white on them in between the white and their other color. So, for example, I've got this blue and white edge here. If I take this so that the blue, because I have white up, if you have white facing up on the top face, then you can easily put these into place. So because white is facing up on this blue and white piece, if I move the blue so it's touching the blue center, much like that, then I can just turn this blue face 2 times, and it'll put that blue and white edge piece in between the blue and yellow face, just like it needs to be. Now, currently I don't have any other pieces with white facing up. So, let's fix that. That edge piece series, if you remember, I can move these 3 edges around the puzzle. The one that I want to move and get into a new position is I want to put this orange and white so that white is facing up. If I start with this, it's going to bring it and put it into this middle layer and just leave it there. I don't want that to happen. However, if I start on the left, I know that I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to bring this orange and white piece down to this spot, and then when I go up, up, it flips that orange and white piece and leaves it on the top layer. Now I can do the same thing I did before and just put this orange lined up with the orange center, just like that, and then do a double turn on this orange face to bring that orange piece down to the bottom so that the orange and white is lined up correctly with the centers. Now, another great example here, I've got a green and white piece on the top with green facing up, which means I can't just put it next to the green center and turn it around because then things won't line up the way they're supposed to. But again, I can use that corner piece series the same way and just down, down, up, up, edge piece series. And depending on where you do that can be very beneficial. Because if I start, say, over here, I can fix this green and white edge piece just by itself. If I do the same thing I did before, if I just go down, down, up, up, then that green and white edge piece moves to the top. But if you remember, because 3 pieces are involved, let's say I start with this red and white, which I also want to get onto this top face with white facing up. So if I start with this piece over here, I know that these 2 pieces are going to end up on the top face. Maybe we'll get lucky and this red and white will also end up on the top with white facing up. So let's start here and just see what happens. If I go down, down, up, up, well, not exactly, but it leaves that in a place where we know that we can fix it easily. So let's fix this green one. I'm going to line the green of the green and white center up with the green and white edge, up with the green center, and then just do a double turn there. Fix that. I haven't messed up anything else that I already had done. And now I just need to flip this red and white edge piece so that white is facing up. Same thing we were doing before. I'm just going to start over here and go down, down, up, up. Now the white is facing up on this red and white edge. I can move the red over to pair it up with the red center and a double turn on that red face. And now the white cross is complete and all of these edges match up with the correct adjacent centers. So next step is to fix all 4 edges in this middle layer. This is not difficult. It's just a matter of understanding what pieces you need to put where. The pieces that you'll know need to go in this middle layer are the ones that don't have yellow as a part of them, because yellow is our top face. So if any of the pieces have yellow, that means they go as these last 4 edges on the top face. So let's start with this orange and green. If I move this over so that the orange lines up with the orange, I know that if I do that edge piece series, starting with the orange and green, I can move it down to where it belongs. So if I just do a down, down, up, up, now that orange and green edge piece is where it belongs, in between the 2 correct centers, and I haven't touched any of the edges down here on the bottom with the white. So let's find another. Here we go. Green and red. This green and red needs to go here, in between the red and green centers. If I line the red up with the red center, then I know that I can just do a down, down, up, up, starting with this red face, and it'll put that green and red in the right place, move some other edges around, but that was the main concern right there, was fixing that one. Next up, we've got the red and green. Red and blue. So if I move that blue over top of the blue center, I can put it in the same way I've been doing, with just a down, down, up, up, starting with the blue face. So if I do down, down, up, up, it fixed that. One case you may come across, and I'm going to set up here. Say, for example, you have an edge piece in between the right colors, but it's just flipped. So this blue and orange needs to be right here, but it's not facing the right way. This is very basic because you know that I can move these three edge pieces with that edge piece series. I just need to get this blue and orange piece back up to the top layer. So if I just do down, down, up, up, starting on either side, doesn't matter if I start with the blue or the orange. So if I just go down, down, up, up, now I've got that blue and orange edge piece on the top. I'm going to line it up so that the blue lines up with the blue center, just like that. And now I can put this blue and orange edge piece down here where it belongs, starting with the blue face, down, down, up, up. Now, things do get a little more complicated here, so let's slow down a little bit. The goal here is to get all four of these remaining edges with yellow facing up. Everything else on the puzzle, all of the other edges, are where they belong. So I need to get these four remaining edges so that yellow is facing up on all of them. They don't necessarily need to be in the right places yet. We'll fix that next. But the first step is just putting them so that yellow is facing up, and it makes it easier to move them around to where they belong. In order to do that, we need to take one of these edge pieces that we've fixed already out of place for a little bit. In doing so, we're just going to have to keep track of where it is, and once you've fixed the other yellow edge pieces that aren't correct, there could be 2, there could be 4, there could be none, but once you've fixed all of those, you'll also bring back this edge piece that I take out and put it in the right place, oriented correctly. It's just the way the puzzle works. So I'm going to take this green and orange piece, move it up to the top, and I'm going to bring this green and yellow piece down to that spot. So I'm just another edge piece series here. So move that up, move this green and yellow piece into its spot, and then move this back down. Now, that green and yellow piece I need to put back into the top layer, but with yellow facing up. So I'm going to move this yellow up. And in doing so, I need to make sure that I bring this yellow and blue piece back into this position so that I can still put it back correctly when I get around to it. So I'm going to move this green and yellow up to the top here with yellow facing up. And now I'm going to move this blue and yellow into that position so that when I undo the move that I did on the green face here, it puts that blue and yellow down into this section. Now I just need to bring this blue and yellow up so that yellow is facing up, and then I can replace it with this orange and green that needs to go back here. When I undo this orange face turn that I'm getting ready to do, it'll also bring this piece back into place. So I'm going to bring this blue and yellow up with yellow facing up, and now I'm going to take this green and orange, bring it over here. The orange lines up with the orange center, and when I undo this orange face turn, it put that back where it belongs. Now, I got lucky here. This is one of the situations that you are going to come across where in doing all of that, the yellow pieces all lined up with the correct centers. So in doing this, I've fixed all of the edges. Everything is where it belongs as far as the edges go. However, this isn't always going to be the case. So let me set up for a situation that you may come across here. A lot of times you'll end up with this case where one of the yellow edges is correct. The red and yellow here lines up with the red center, just like it's supposed to. However, the other three are not lined up with their correct corresponding centers. The algorithm that I showed at the beginning that can swap this piece, and this piece, either counterclockwise or clockwise, is what you need to use here. So in this situation, I can see that this orange and yellow needs to move back here so that the orange lines up with the orange center. If I do that, then this green and yellow needs to go over here so that the green lines up, and this blue and yellow needs to go across to here. So that is a clockwise turn, which means I need to start on the left so that these three will cycle clockwise. So if I just move this orange and yellow down, move the spot it needs to go to over, and move that out of the way, putting that orange and yellow back where it needs to go, move a new piece over. I'm going to put this orange and green into that new spot, and now I'm going to move this back around twice so I can put this red and blue back where it belongs, and then undo this move on the left. There you go. All of those have cycled around just like they were supposed to. The other situation you might see is that same type of thing, but they need to move counterclockwise. So orange needs to go here, blue needs to go here, and green needs to come across here. Same basic thing, but we're going to start on the right this time. So just move that, bring in the spot it needs to go, move this back in, bring in a new spot, put this blue and yellow where it needs to go, and then bring this top face all the way around, fixing that red and green, and then undoing that. Puts everybody where they need to be. In relation to both of those cases, you'll also see this fairly often, where it looks like you have two edge pieces in the correct places and two edge pieces that need to swap. Even though this looks like something completely different, it's really not. Because if I turn this up face one turn in either direction, so if I do it this way or this way, what that does is it's going to move one edge piece into the correct spot, so this blue and yellow is lined up with the blue center, and it also puts it so that these three remaining edge pieces are now incorrect. So it brings back to the first two cases that I showed. You can end up with either a situation where they need to move clockwise or a situation where they need to move counterclockwise. So that's not really a different case. There is a third case here that is a bit more difficult, but it's pretty easy to understand after you've gotten down what you're moving and how things are allowed to move. In this situation, you've got two edges that are correct. This blue and yellow is in the right place, and this blue and yellow and green is in the right place. Those two edges are across from each other in the correct places. The other two edges are across from each other, but need to swap. So this orange and yellow needs to come across here and replace this red and yellow, and it needs to go back where that orange and yellow currently is. This one, it doesn't matter how many turns you do on this yellow face, on this top face, it's never going to make it any other situation. You're always going to have two across from each other that need to swap, and two across from each other that are correct. In order to fix this, we pretty much just need to rebuild all of these edges. So the first thing you need to do is take any one of them. It doesn't matter where you start this, it'll always fix it. I'm going to take this green and yellow piece and move it to here. I'm going to take this one out, but I'm going to swap these two, or these three rather. So I'm going to take this green and yellow piece and move it to this position. So it's that, move this position up, and then undo that right turn. Now I'm going to move the orange and blue that I took out from this position to the back. So I'm just going to do a double turn like that. Now I want to bring this red and yellow piece up to this position and bring this blue and yellow piece down here. So if I bring that up, bring this over, and that blue and yellow can come down here. Now I'm going to bring this orange and blue that I still have to put back here, back to the back position, and then I'm going to replace this yellow and red with this yellow and blue, and then put the blue and orange that I have sitting back here back where it belongs on that blue face and undo that right-hand turn. In doing all that, I've successfully rebuilt all of these edges so that all I have to do is rotate it, and now all 4 of those edge pieces are lined up where they belong. So after doing all of that, you've successfully fixed all 12 of the edge pieces around the puzzle. Next up, we're going to start putting these corner pieces in their correct places and hopefully rotating them the correct direction at the same time. So this next part is a little more difficult, but it's just a matter of understanding where things are going to go using that that corner piece series that I showed at the beginning. So hang tight, I'll show you things next. Let's fix a few corners. All right, I'm sure a few of you noticed in the beginning when I showed you that corner piece series from both left and right, not only did it move those pieces, but it rotated them. So that basic corner piece series, it doesn't just take this orange, yellow, and green corner piece and move it across here, it actually flips it across. So the orange that is on top ends up on the back. Back here, this orange, white, and green corner piece that was here didn't just slide across to here, it actually rolled across this way, so that the orange is now on the left. And the orange, blue, and white corner piece didn't just slide across over to here, it actually came across so that the color that was on the back is now on the top. That is a big part of this because you can use that knowledge, especially from the first 2 pieces, to help you put things not only in the right location, but oriented correctly here. So let's take a look at the almost finished puzzle here and see where things need to go. First thing you want to do is just find a corner piece that is in the wrong place and near where it needs to go. So this red, white, and green piece, I know that this is not in the right place because green, red, but this is not white. This is yellow, so that's not where this belongs. But this green, red, and white piece belongs over here, in this spot. I can also see that if I were to just move this over, it would be in the right orientation. So if I just roll this piece over, it's going to fall right where it needs to be. That means that I can put this not only in the correct place, but I can put it in the correct place, oriented correctly, which will save me time later on. The only thing you need to make sure of here is that the third piece that you're using, so since I'm going to move this to here, this is going to move over to here, and this piece is going to move here, I just need to make sure that this third piece is not already in the correct place. Because this is orange, green, and yellow, I know that it doesn't belong here because it's with white, orange, and green. So that's not correct. So I can use this piece, and it's going to move these. Now, if you get creative here, especially after you've done this a few times, using some setup moves and some knowledge of how these pieces move, you can actually put in more than one at a time, almost every time. But for now, I'm just going to show you how I can do this one piece at a time. So first thing I'm going to do is put this green, white, and red piece over here. Just going to roll it over. So if I move this up to there, then I'm going to move this section to the left and get it out of the way, putting this third corner piece over to here. Now I'm going to move this back section over to the right again and undo that move on the right-hand side that I did first. And now I'm going to move this up face back over to here and undo the move that I did on the left, and then undo that up move to make sure that all of my edges fall back where they belong. And you'll see that this green, white, and red corner piece is now in the correct place. So let's find another. Here's a good one. The blue, orange, and white. It's close, but it's not quite there. This is in the spot where the white, orange, and green needs to be. But this blue, orange, and white needs to go over here. And again, if I just turn this over like this, it rolls into position. So I know that I can use this as my first piece and roll it over into position just like that. And then this piece, my third piece involved in this series, is not correct, so I'm not worried about that. It's not going to hurt anything. So I'm just going to start here and do left inverse, up, right, up inverse, left, up, right inverse, up inverse. Moved that blue, orange, and white that I was worried about fixing into the correct place. Didn't hurt anything else. And this is really all that comes into play here. You just need to find pieces that are easy to get where they belong, and hopefully easy to put where they belong, oriented correctly as well. So here's another one. The blue, orange, and yellow needs to go over to here. And I can see that I can just roll this piece into place, and it falls right where it's supposed to be. Obviously, using the surrounding centers and that edge as a tells me where things can go. And also, well, this corner piece, even though it's not oriented correctly, it's in the right spot. So for now, let's see if I can avoid hurting that. This is where things do get a bit more complicated, especially towards the end of this solve. You're going to have to use what's known as a setup move, where I'm just going to take a new piece and put it into that place just to get it out of the way for now, so that I know I'm not going to hurt anything that is already correct. So I'm going to take this piece and it's going to roll over to here, but I want to put something else here that's not correct. So I'm going to bring this piece here, this orange, green, and white, and I'm just going to bring it up and put it into that position. Only thing here is I have to remember this setup move so that after I finish the algorithm that's going to move this orange, blue, and yellow piece into the correct spot, I have to remember to undo this setup move. So it's that same corner piece series, nothing changes there. I'm just going to make sure that I undo that setup move at the end. So right, up inverse, left inverse, up, right inverse, up inverse, left, up. And then my setup move, I have to remember to put that back where everything was. So all of my edges are still good. Now, around the puzzle, let's take a look here. Let's see. Okay, here's a good one. This white, green, and orange needs to go across to here. However, I don't have a piece over here that's not in the right place. This is correct, and both of these pieces down here are also in the correct places. They're just not oriented correctly. This piece down here, though, is not in the right place, which means if I can get this piece up to this corner, then doing this corner piece series will not hurt anything that's already in the right place. So let's do a few different setup moves here and put this piece into this corner so that I can do that corner piece series and fix this corner here. So if I just turn this down, down, and then a left-hand turn, it'll bring that green, orange, and yellow piece up to this spot, which is where I need it to be, and I know that that was not one of my correct pieces. So I need to remember that in order to do this, I start with a down, down, and then a left. So when I get done with this corner piece series, I need to make sure that I do a left inverse and then a down, down to fix my setup moves. So let's do this corner piece series. Right, up inverse, left, up, right inverse, up inverse, left, up. Now I have to undo those setup moves that I did. So I need to do a left inverse and then 2 down turns. And now all 4 of the remaining corner pieces are sitting where they belong. Now here, if it was just me trying to do a casual solve here, I would probably set this up a little differently. I would do a corner piece series involving these 3 pieces, and then see if I could fix these with a couple of setup moves so that I could at least place one of them with that regular corner piece series. That's one way of approaching this, and please get creative with this, because that's the whole main thing here, is understanding how these pieces move and knowing what you're going to impact. That's why this is so much fun. It's why it's helpful in a lot of ways, because you can get creative, do some of these corner piece series or edge piece series, and get creative with them to see other things that you can fix in the process. So let's go ahead and try that out. I'm going to do a regular corner piece series from the left-hand side here and move these 3 pieces out of place. So let's just go here, do it this way, and then I can bring that back. So now these 3 corner pieces are out of place. So let's see what we did here. Well, this red, blue, and yellow corner piece, I can now see can just roll over into this position where it belongs. So that's very helpful. Now, let's see if I can make it so that there's a 3rd piece here that isn't correct. I know I have this piece here that was part of that original corner piece series that I can take out and put anywhere I want using some setup moves. So let's do a down inverse. Let's move this piece over to here and then do a right inverse so I can put that piece up into that back right corner. So now when I do this corner piece series, it's going to involve this piece, and this piece, none of which are in the correct places right now. I just have to remember those setup moves that I did so that I'm sure to bring things back where they belong. So I'm going to do the corner piece series starting on the left here. So left inverse, up, right, up inverse, left, up, right inverse, up inverse. And now the setup moves that I did, I need to bring this right back around to put those edges back, and then I need to move this down face around so that I put those back. And what do you know, I happened to fix 2 of these in the process, so that was very handy. So now I've got 2 corner pieces, this one here and this one here, that are in the right place. They're just rotated wrong. They're oriented incorrectly. On this puzzle, you will never have a single corner piece rotated incorrectly. If you have one rotated wrong, you've got another one rotated wrong. Unless something went wrong and you did a manual rotation while you were solving, and that's possible, but that'll never happen naturally. This next little thing I'm going to show you is a way of rotating 2 corners at once. One of them is going to rotate counterclockwise, the other one is going to rotate clockwise. So let's see if I can get these 2 corners right next to each other. So if I turn this left-hand face twice, then it brings those 2 corners right next to each other. I need to remember that setup move because that's something I'll have to fix at the end. But now I can use the soon algorithms that we were using to fix the corners. Because if you remember, that soon algorithm fixed the edges. Sorry, that soon algorithm that we were using to fix the edges. If you remember, I mentioned that that also messes up some corners in the process. So let me show you that on a solved puzzle. That regular soon algorithm, the one that we were using to move some edges around, while yes, it does move these 3 edges, just like it was doing before, it also rearranged some of these corners. Because of the way these corners move and rotate while they're moving, if you do that edge piece series, the soon algorithm, on the right-hand side, just like I did, and then do it again on the left-hand side, not only are you going to put the edges back and the corners back where they belong, but you're going to rotate these 2 corners in place. So with that knowledge, I can see here that this corner needs to rotate counterclockwise, and this corner needs to rotate clockwise. So if I get them side by side to start, and then put them to my left, now if I do the regular right-hand soon algorithm followed by a left-hand soon algorithm, the only thing that's going to be affected are these 2 corners. They're going to rotate in place. So if I just do right, up, right inverse, up, right, up, right inverse, and then do the left-hand version from the same position. So left inverse, up inverse, left, up inverse, left inverse, up, up, left. You'll see it rotated this corner in place, it rotated this corner in place, and now I just have to undo that setup move that I did, bring that back down. If you do that once and these corners are still rotated incorrectly, if you do it again, it'll put them where they belong and rotate them correctly. So now I mentioned in the beginning that these are just some basic understanding the puzzle moves. I wasn't doing this as a beginner's tutorial or anything like that. This was strictly to just help you understand how things move and how the puzzle works a little better. Because on more complicated puzzles later on, you can use a lot of these same ideas and just modify them a little bit, and they'll work the same way. A prime example is on this puzzle, the Mega Minx. The edge piece series that I was doing, down, down, up, up, has the same effect on this puzzle that it had on the 3x3. You can use that to place your edges and move them around the same way you were doing. Or the corner piece series that I was doing, if you modify that slightly so that you're still using right-hand turns on the right side and left turns on the left side, you can move this piece here, and this piece down to here. So if I do right and then turn this twice so that I put this corner to turn here, turn this twice again, I can move this corner back, turn this twice again, and move this corner back, and then fix that. Now you'll see I've moved these three corners around the puzzle. Same on the left side. And so you can use a lot of those basic ideas on similar face-turning puzzles and make them work with just a little bit of modification so that things move where you want them to move. You've just got to understand what you're trying to impact and how your turns are going to affect what you want to affect. Another great example is on a puzzle like this, where you've got these center sections that don't rotate when you turn a face. Just these outside faces, just these outside groups turn. So on a puzzle like this, if you use that edge piece series that I was using before, let me get a different color up here just to make it easier to see. That edge piece series, I can move these outside sections of the edges and not change the inside colors. So if you have all these inside colors solved, you can move these outside edge pieces around and leave the inside stuff untouched. So that's all where it was, that's all where it was, and that's all where it was. But these outside parts of those edges have moved around. So, like I said, please get creative, have fun with this. It's a really interesting way of solving the puzzle and helping you to understand where you can put things, where you can move things, and just how things are capable of moving on this puzzle. I hope you found this at least entertaining, and please have fun and happy solving.